Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
I am back from the wasteland. I have witnessed Furiosa, and let me just say this. It may not be Fury Road because what is, but George Miller did deliver the epic prequel he promised. Young 10-year-old Furiosa is kidnapped from the green place of many mothers and handed over to warlord Dementus and his biker gang. Shortly after, they arrive at the Citadel, ruled by our favorite villain, Immortan Joe, and that is where Furiosa grows up, hoping to one day get her revenge on Dementus and find her way home. Now, I'm a big fan of the Mad Max franchise, and Fury Road is one of my all-time favorite movies. I don't even usually love pure action movies like that, but Fury Road, in my eyes, is one of those rare films that are pretty much perfect. And listen, it's an impossible task to top or even match Mad Max Fury Road, but that doesn't mean that Furiosa isn't a great film on its own. It absolutely is one of the best movies of the year so far, and I will always be up for seeing more of The Wasteland. The movie covers a large span of time, about 15 years, split into 5 different chapters, and it definitely works as an origin story of an awesome character and as a relentless and brutal tale of revenge. It's easily the darkest and meanest entry in the franchise. We actually spend a lot of time with Furiosa during her childhood. It's a while until you even see Anya Taylor-Joy, almost an hour, but Lila Brown, who plays young Furiosa, is really good, and those earlier scenes are excellent, really setting up the way she was robbed of her childhood because of Dementus. And speaking of Dementus, Chris Hemsworth is fantastic in this role. I loved seeing him as this unpredictable, unhinged villain. He is able to take the usual charm and charisma that he brings to his characters and twist it into this weird and creepy damaged man who is funny until you realize how vicious he is. His whole persona in the beginning is cosplaying some post-apocalyptic prophet. He rides this chariot that has 3 bikes instead of horses. What a memorable character. I need Chris Hemsworth to do more interesting roles like this because I'm going to be honest, I did not think he had this kind of performance in him, and from what I've seen, this is definitely a career best. But of course, Anya Taylor-Joy is the star here, and she really transforms for this role. It's a very physical performance, it's a very emotionally charged performance, but it's also a role that doesn't give her a lot of dialogue to work with. On top of that, her face is covered up a lot, which means so much of her acting has to come from her eyes and from her physicality, and she absolutely kills it. I loved seeing her on this coming-of-age revenge journey, this rebirth through pain and suffering, and when she finally gets to confront Dementus, it's such a powerful scene that really comments on the nature of revenge. What can it even achieve? Is it ever truly satisfying? Really great stuff there, and her screen presence is very strong. You cannot take your eyes off her. There are some great supporting characters as well, including Immortan Joe, who actually has a more interesting presence here than he does in Fury Road, and Furiosa's mother, who doesn't have a huge role, but she's still very memorable. Praetorian Jack is an interesting one as well. He honestly feels like a Max stand-in, but unfortunately lacks the screen time to really make an impact, and the relationship dynamic he has with Furiosa feels pretty underdeveloped. What's really cool about this movie though is the world building and some of the backstory answers it gives you. If you're a fan of George Miller's post-apocalyptic vision like I am and you've been craving to learn more about this world, you are definitely going to enjoy this. We get to see places we only heard about in Fury Road. Gastown, Bullet Farm, the Green Place. We also see more of the Citadel and its inner workings. We get a better idea of the power dynamics in the Wasteland, how the conflicts between settlements go down, what some basic politics between the factions are like. All of this is fascinating to me. As far as Furiosa herself goes, we find out how she ended up at the Citadel, why she is not one of the wives, and of course, how did she lose her arm, which is a pretty unforgettable scene. You may need to suspend your disbelief a bit more than usual for all of this to fully work, but personally, I am happy to do it for the Mad Max franchise. It's such a unique, crazy and detailed world. Now, of course, I also want to talk about the visuals and the action because that is something this franchise is known for, and for the most part, Furiosa looks great. For the most part. Many of us had concerns about the CGI after seeing the trailers, particularly because of how amazing Fury Road looked. The way that film sparingly used CGI was so seamless, you couldn't even tell. It's a movie that looks and feels deeply practical and real. Furiosa does have a lot of that as well, which is why I say that for the most part, it looks great. But there are some very obvious moments of CGI and green screen, a lot of which made it into the trailer. And they're obvious not just because with some shots you know there's no way they did this practically, there's also something about the lighting that's just off, something about how the background in certain cases stands out against other elements. But because the fully practical stuff looks so great here, and because we remember how Fury Road looked, the CGI just sticks out. Some of you might be able to look past it. It is not terrible CGI by any means, but it is obvious, and personally, I just couldn't ignore it. It took me out of the movie a few times. As far as the action goes, while there isn't as much of it here, it's great when it is there. George Miller knows how to direct fun and engaging action scenes, and there is one action scene in particular that comes pretty close to the perfection of Fury Road. That scene is epic, and you will definitely know what I'm talking about when you see it. Furiosa generally finds a good balance between telling the story of its lead character and the action, so there is no shortage of bike riding, car driving, and things exploding if that's what you're there for. I will say though, this is the longest movie in the franchise, and you can definitely feel it. It's almost 2.5 hours long, and I can't say that it 100% nails the pacing all the way through. And once again, even though I keep bringing up Fury Road, I did not expect Furiosa to surpass Fury Road or to be as action-packed as that film. I don't think that's a realistic expectation to have to begin with, and they're movies with different goals. But it's also impossible not to compare the two. They're in the same franchise. One is a direct prequel to the other. Plus, as far as the visuals, the action, and the pacing go, Fury Road is the benchmark, and you just can't pretend that it doesn't exist. That being said, just because something isn't as iconic as one of the best films of the previous decade doesn't mean it's not good. Furiosa is a great movie, and there is so much to love and enjoy about it, especially for fans of the Mad Max franchise. It's a self-contained story, even though it does technically lead into Fury Road, and it's a very immersive film to see and hear on the big screen because the engines are loud and the score is great, even though I wish it was more prominent. George Miller's post-apocalyptic world is nothing short of iconic, and I hope he returns to it again. It's clear he has so many more stories to tell, and every character, every location has a backstory. Every design choice is deliberate. I am so happy that we got the chance to return to this franchise again and expand what we know about the Wasteland and its characters. First and foremost, though, this is a brutal story of revenge, covered in dirt and grime, drenched in gasoline, and delivered perfectly by its charismatic cast. It's a powerful, immersive experience, and I'm sure I will be watching Furiosa again. I now can confirm that in 2024, great blockbusters are officially so back, shiny and chrome.